Disclaimer: all available content in this awareness session is for positive lifestyle management purposes. Positive lifestyle management does not advocate or support gang banging, drug selling or usage, violence, or any negative actions, behavior, or attitude against men, women, or children. Our platform is for the uplifting of fallen humanity.
I was homeless, I didn't have a house, sleeping in my car outside my friend's house. He walked out, said come inside, while you sleeping in your ride. You know it's cold outside, can't eat food, ain't no place to live. Good advice, better than better, say get on the grind. Don't give up my nigga, you destined to shine. Get on your feet, nigga.
Greetings, brothers and sisters, men and women all over the world. Welcome to another episode of Positive Lifestyle Management Awareness Session. I'm your brother Fee Taylor, and tonight this awareness session is going to be pretty short, but it's a legal awareness session. A legal question was brought to my attention by one of our supporters and subscribers, and to Positive Lifestyle Management supporters and subscribers. And the question that was posed to Positive Lifestyle Management was, it says, Brother Fee Taylor, I trust your judgment and everything that you say is true, and you always presented with facts in order to support what you're saying. You just don't ever say anything. My question to you is, if a person has a sealed document in their case, is they holding something back, or is there, in other words, they're rat? Alright, let's get to it. I'm going to address this issue. And how I'm going to address this issue? I'm going to address this issue from a legal standpoint. I've been involved in many legal cases. I was recently released from the Federal Bureau of Prisons after serving 12 and a half years and 6 months on home confinement. So I did a total of 13 years in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. And during that time within the Federal Bureau of Prison, I worked on a lot of cases. Many of the cases I won, some of them I lost. But most of all the cases that I was involved in, I always gave my all. And people knew that I was going to do the best that I could. If I couldn't help you, I would let you know. But if I found something I can help you with, I would do it. I never lied to anybody. I never placed any type of jackets on anybody. And there's a lot of guys who came inside the Federal Bureau of Prison. I investigated them. Many of them turned out to be straight. A lot of them turned out to be bad. And during the course of me doing a lot of these investigations, as well as helping other people with their cases, I ran across sealed documents. Now, what is a sealed document? If we look at it from a legal standpoint, a sealed document is a document that is sealed and held from the defendant or the public or the plaintiff. So a sealed document does not necessarily mean that a person is a rat. However, in some cases, it does mean that a person is saying something. When I first went inside the Federal Bureau of Prisons, well, pardon me, let me back up. Prior to me going inside the Federal Bureau of Prison, people used to use PSIs, which was your pre-sentence investigation report, as well as your statements of reasons on why you was locked up. And your PSI, as well as your statement of reason, would normally give a person an indication on if you had cooperated with the government or some or things of that nature. And it also showed if you didn't. So it was exposed. And so, like, especially with your statement of reasons. Your statement of reasons will show if you receive a 5K1 motion, a Rule 35, a Rule 35B, or a 18 USC. I think it's 3553E or something like that. So E means that you have provided some substantial assistance to the federal government. And the PSR, what it would show is that it would show if a person received a downward departure and what that downward departure was for. If that downward departure was for a person providing substantial evidence to the government or not. But it also contained a lot of your personal information. Your mom's, where you grew up, your children's, your addresses, telephone number, it was a social security number, everything. Everything was in your PSR. Everything about you was in your PSR. And what was going on, some of the peoples was stealing people's identity, getting their social security number, sending their social security numbers to the streets, people's involved in scams and using people's names and everything. So, what the Department of Justice, which is the boss of the Federal Bureau of Prison, the Attorney General is the boss of the Director of the Federal Bureau of Prison. So what the Department of Justice did, they came up with a policy where we was no longer able to get the PSR as well as the statements of reason. We wasn't allowed to have them, so they wouldn't give them to us anymore. So when I came into the Federal Bureau of Prison in 2008, we wasn't allowed to have PSIs or your statements of reason. So what went next was your sentencing transcripts as well as your plea agreement. That's what people started looking at. Sentencing transcripts, plea agreements. Because your sentencing transcripts will also say if you was receiving a downward departure or anything of that nature. Now, so this is the process that was going on then to determine who you were and if you was a solid person or not. Then I believe right before I got out the Federal Bureau of Prison, it had to be like 2017, 2018, while I was there, I think I was in Sandstone at the time. They came up with a policy, the Department of Justice came up with another policy where if a person was cooperating with the government, their lawyers can file motions to have all of their documents wiped out, so you couldn't get none of their documents, period. You couldn't get nothing. If you go in and try to pull something, you couldn't get it. And they was hooking up fake documents and everything. The feds, they got real slick in how they was doing things. So the method that people used to find things out was pacer.gov. So I'm giving you this background on how things go. Because what we have out here now is people are receiving counsel from people talking about sealed documents, this, and that, without knowing the ramifications behind the sealed document. Now, I'm going to go to this case. So, because I'm keeping everything legal with you. So I'm going to go to this case. And it's It's Anthony J. Schreier Jr. versus Clarence E. Kelly. And this is a 1978 case out of the Seventh Circuit, which is still precedent. So it don't matter what year it was or how old the case is, but it still holds precedence. And in this case, Anthony Schreier was he had wrote the Customs Service, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, and 2 other agencies to get documents that he felt that concerned him. So what these agencies did, they sent him a couple of documents. They went in and they blacked out documents and things that they, that he couldn't have, or that was pertinent against him. So these documents were sealed now. Freedom of Information Act 5 U.S.C. 5552B to try to get these documents. So he appealed this all the way to the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. And at the time, Justice Posner was on the bench at this time, if I'm not mistaken. And what they did was they ruled that he couldn't have these documents. And the reason that he couldn't have these documents up under the exemption clause was dealing with number 18. They say one of the reasons that you cannot get these documents is the first exemption relied upon was section 552B2, which allows deletions from internal administrative markings, ruling, and practices. The exemption is claimed here for administrative markings such as likes of numbers, initials, signatures, and mailing routing stamps, references to interagency transfers, and data processing references, as was determined in Marciola versus Levi, 569 Federal 2nd 1000 and 1002 7th Circuit 1977, in which identical claims was made for the use of section 552B2. These matters are within public interest and minimal, and which falls within the ambit of exemption 2. Now, here's the second one. The other category of exemptions are section 552B7, C, D, E, and F, which protects a citizen's privacy, the identity of an informant, investigative techniques, and the safety of law enforcement personnel, as was disclosed in Marciola, so for 1002, which was implicit in each of the affidavits submitted by the 3 agencies. So now, let me give y'all an example. Right now, I'm on federal pay. In a few more days, I will be eligible to file for termination of my early release from probation. Just for the sake of this conversation, I'm using this as an example. There's no validity behind it. There's no truth to none of the things that I'm saying. I'm just using it as an example. So, I filed with the courts. And when I filed with the courts, my probation officer and the United States Attorney Office, they filed documents as though they've probably been investigating me. They got some confidential informants saying some things against me that I should know and for investigative purposes. So they denied me to get off probation. And they put in my file, now they're going to put in my docket sheet that it's a sealed document. And this sealed document is that somebody or they got something that they're using in order to deny me the release of probation. This does not mean that I am cooperating with the government. It means that there's some information inside of these documents that they're using that I am not allowed to have. And up under 5 U.S.C. 552B, that's the exemption that they can hold these documents away from me so that I'm not able to find out what's going on. Another example. If you go to pacer.gov, I advise any of you guys out there, or brothers and sisters out there who has access to pacer.gov. You can go to pacer.gov and look up any high profile case, and you know these people might be your brother, it might be your father, it might be some kin to you, and these are some real stomped down people. And then tell me they are excuse me. These are legitimate people. But you go look at their docket sheet, look in their files. You're gonna see they got some sealed documents. You're not gonna be able to find no high profile case without sealed documents in it. And that is because the United States Department of Justice does not, and the different agencies do not want you or the persons or to know what information they are using. And they'll go in, the judge will look at all these documents, and they'll say, no, you can't hide these documents because we got to protect the lives of this person, that person, and that person. They'll seal it so that you are unable to get it. Because what it'll do, it'll compromise their investigation or the lives or the safety and the security they believe of somebody else. That don't mean because these people have a sealed document, man, that they are working with the government. People have to be mindful in order to get good counsel. Get the peoples around you that's going to give you good counsel, man, that knows what they are talking about and that's going to provide you with the law on how the law operates. Get with people who know, especially when you're dealing with the feds. Get with the people that you know that know what they're doing and understand the system. I spent 12 and a half years in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. And for 12 and a half years, you know what I did? I did the same thing I was doing when I was in the Illinois Department of Correction for the 15 years. I was inside of a law library, learning, studying, helping people. That's what I was doing. That was my job. And I did my job well. I worked in the law library. Every prison that I was in, I worked in the law library. And if I didn't work in the law library, I spent so much time inside of the law library, people actually thought that I worked there. So when it comes to sealed documents and confidential informants and all that, and listen, I can tell you how it operates. You got confidential informants and you got corroborating witnesses. You got all different types, and all these different types of things, entities have reasons. A confidential informant would be somebody that's not working on it, that's not a part of the case, and they are giving up information. A corroborating witness will be somebody who's involved in the case and they're giving up information on what occurred. So they're not a confidential informant, they are a corroborating witness. So for all the men and women out there, I hope that this awareness session was able to give you some form of insight. We cannot be in the business of assassinating people's character without having the facts and knowing what's going on behind it. Because when you start assassinating people's character, what you are doing, you're opening up the door, because that is a very serious thing. The one thing that you do not want to do is put a label or a jacket on a man or a woman as being a rat or a homosexual or something of that nature, because that is a very serious charge, and there are some serious repercussions behind these things. So we have to be mindful of what we're doing and mindful of the information, who we're getting this information from. Then we also got to know who's giving us this information, because some of the time the people that's giving you this information, they themselves have probably been around snitches, confidential informants. And so we got to be very mindful to not get this nonsense ear, because they're playing a dirty game out here. But as long as a person is playing by the rules, the legit rules of working, getting up every day, being about the business of positive and productive growth and development and positive lifestyle management, then everything else is going to work itself out. Also, don't be so quick to act on half truths, not knowing the full truth. There's two sides to everything. So look at both sides of that coin. Because even if nothing is on the other side of that coin, there's still another side to it. It just ain't got no imprint on it. But it's another side to it, just like this here. There's two sides of this paper. You see this side, and you see that side. There's nothing on that side of the paper, but there's something on this side of the paper. But just don't look at this side or this side. You have to look at both sides to see what's going on in order to get the truth of what's happening. And on that note, I would like to thank you all for your love, your support, and your participation. And in closing, I would like to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And on that note, I end this awareness session by saying peace.